It was called the Trial of the Century, a gruesome double murder case, an attractive and wealthy defendant with a dream team of lawyers, and a media spectacle that built around the case for months. The prosecution had a hell of an uphill climb to prove their case. Yes, other defendants had been put away for much less evidence, but the crime scene had been mishandled, possibly even tampered with by police. There was also the matter of the missing bloody clothing and the murder weapon. But still, there was only one known person with the means and the motive to kill that particular couple on what had been an otherwise peaceful summer day: the defendant. What a shock, then, when the jury returned their verdict in somewhat unseemly haste. Lizzie Andrew Borden was found not guilty of double homicide, and the trial of the 19th century was brought to a dramatic close. When the next trial of the century came along in early 1995, the details of the OJ Simpson case would be eerily similar to that of the Borden murders 103 years previously, including the fact that, after their respective acquittals, Borden and Simpson remain the prime suspects for the murders of Andrew and Abby Borden and Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, respectively. And much of the public remains convinced of their guilt. Welcome back to Respect the Dead, the podcast where we don't.
Sweaty, it's no surprise that everybody celebrated your demise, and now worms are eating your eyes. So don't you worry your rotten head as you sleep in your sodden bed. It's time to respect the dead. It's time to respect the dead. It's time to respect the dead.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So I'm Hoots.
I'm Kaylin, and I didn't know a switch up was coming.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about Lizzie Borden anymore. I just wanted to do
No,
that
I
as
know.
a cute little intro.
No, I know. We were just using her.
We were just using her. And now she's used. Just like an old dried up corpse that we drag out of the closet every once in a while. Set her up on
Just
my
a
knee.
shake out on camera.
This is part 2 of OJ Simpson. This is the part with the murder and the trial and the aftermath. If you want to go listen to part 1, you should go do that. If not, like, it's your life. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You can do it in whatever order you want.
I can't tell you what to do, but I will say that it's a little stupid. But
it's weird if you don't, but like, I don't care what you do
It's
in the
okay.
privacy of your own home.
You're like, yeah, exactly. It's weird. It's disgusting, but it's Pride Month, and you can do whatever weird and disgusting things you want to do in private.
That's right. As long as you keep it in the privacy of your own home, though.
Absolutely.
I don't want you watching OJ Part 2 in front of kids.
Yeah, no.
How am I supposed to explain to my children? Orenthal James Simpson.
Okay, Orenthal. Like
our daddy Orenthal. Nope. No, I'm not going to say that.
Orenthal's daddy was the daddy we liked.
Yeah. Oh my God, Pride Month. Proud of Orenthal's daddy.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. For leaving that little murderer and becoming a drag queen.
It's part 2 and I've already forgotten his dad's name, but what an icon.
It doesn't matter.
So let's rewind to a little bit before June 12th, 1994 and discuss Rodney King. Like, what, if anything, do you know about Rodney King and the LA riots?
I don't know where Canada is on a map. So.
Okay, cool. So this is
nothing.
Like,
I mean, I do. I know things in passing. And
it's a name you recognize. It's a brand.
Yeah. Yes. I both know Rodney King and the riots, but not enough to say anything specific about them. So,
right.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, and that's what I'm going to explain to you. Oh my God, I was just like, I got a sunburn this week and I was just scratching an itch and I definitely think I just saw a piece of my skin like fall down.
Oh my
Yeah, I'm
God.
starting to peel now.
That happened to my best friend. Death becomes her.
Oh my God, I'm just like her. Death becomes me. Yeah, so if I
Okay, Death
start,
Becomes Her should have been the name of this podcast. What the fuck?
God damn it.
We're
It is
so
our
stupid.
unofficial favorite podcast movie. We've definitely watched it together
That's true.
before.
Yeah.
Like after recording to like cheer ourselves. It was probably after one of my episodes to cheer ourselves up. Anyway, if you see like parts of my face start to fall off, it's just because I had a sunburn. I'm fine. The syphilis is totally under control. So Rodney King was a black man who was on parole for robbery when the LAPD attempted to pull him over, and he kind of led them on a little bit of a chase for a while before they finally caught up to him, and he did get pulled over. They later, after everything that happens, charged him with driving under the influence. But I don't like, maybe he was under the influence while he's driving. I don't think they pulled him over because he was driving erratically. I think they just tailed him because they're the LAPD and he had the license plate of a guy who was out on parole, you know.
Yeah. I think you should be able to give a little chase. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's
I think if the police
fun.
are trying to pull you over, you should be like, if you could get away, I think that counts. Like, I think
Right.
that's fine.
They
Like,
should let you.
yeah, well, like they don't have to give you like
Like
a head
Pac-Man.
start or whatever.
No.
But yeah, if you can get away and they don't catch you right away, then I think they should have to let it go.
So Ellie in particular fucking loves car chases. Like I believe we're where helicopter news footage of car chases started. Like we started that trend. We fucking love it. There was like definitely one day when I was at work and I was texting you guys in the group chat and I was like, oh, there's a car chase at work. So everyone in my break room is
Right.
watching it. We like, everybody dropped everything.
so
We were like,
cute.
car chase. Yeah, we love car chases. And
It's fun.
everybody's always rooting for the person to get away. Like nobody's like, I can't wait till the police catch them. Everybody's like, ooh, is this the one where they get away? Car chases.
What kind of a sick person would you need to be
to
be like,
support the
oh, I
police?
hope I hope the cops get him.
No.
And I'm like, no, let him cook.
You're
let
like,
him
run, little
cruise.
scamp.
Right?
It's fun.
Meanwhile, he has like a woman in his trunk or whatever, and we're like, yay!
Get away, sweetie. Yes, go off, King. Yeah, all of this is super relevant for later in this episode. But yeah, so he was like the focus
I'm so
of like,
excited for that.
I know. He was the focus of like a little teeny, like not even that significant car chase. And then they like caught up to him. And when they got him out of the car, a whole bunch of police officers just started beating the shit out of Rodney King. Like he's alive. He's alive and he's an activist today. They didn't kill him, but he has permanent brain damage from this beating. And
oh my God, same.
yeah. Oh my God. You have so much in common. It wasn't the police with you though, was it?
No. Well, I don't. They didn't. It was 3 white men, so it's possible. They,
as we know, and as like people in at least Black people in 1992 knew, LAPD officers beating the shit out of Black people is something that happens all the time. What made Rodney King significant was this was one of the first cases where someone caught it on video. Nowadays, we're all walking around with cameras in our pockets. Back then, they weren't. So, like, Black people in, like, historically Black neighborhoods where, like, the police are always harassing us. They're always beating us. And nobody believed them. And then
white people are like, I never see that in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Beverly Hills.
I don't know. It seems like they're making a big deal out of nothing. I've never seen that happen in Laguna Beach.
Yes. Literally this. And then for the some person happened to have a camera and filmed this, and the entire nation was outraged, including all the white people. You know.
Wow.
Very often when it comes to media,
maybe
those
not
are the only
all
people
of
who
them.
count. Not all of some of them were a little But this is what like gets media attention. It's like suddenly
Yeah.
white people are like, I think that's a little overblown. That's a little out of pocket.
He was just driving real fast away from you, as we
I do
all
that all
want
the
to do when we
time.
see the cops. Yeah.
Yeah. So this all happened in March of 1991, rather, and
Okay.
it was shot. The trial was in 92, so it's in March of 1991, and it was literally a video of a whole gang of cops kicking and beating a man who was curled up on the ground with batons.
Oh,
Yeah, like, and it's like it's
like one hit with that can really fuck you up.
can kill. He has permanent brain damage. It was brutal.
It's like, sounds like it's a miracle he's alive.
Yes. Yes. It was a bunch of guys with batons. That same month, March of 1991, a Korean convenience store owner named Soon Ja-do shot and killed a 14-year-old girl named Latasha Harlins. And once again, there is video. This time it was security cam footage. So Soon Ja-do would claim that Latasha was trying to steal orange juice, which is, I mean, obviously a capital
And
offense. Obviously a capital offense. Like, but in the footage, you see Latasha come up to the counter to pay for the orange juice, and then the two get into some kind of an argument. Like Jadu like grabs her arm and she like yanks it away, and Latasha turns and starts walking away, and then Jadu like pulls a gun out and shoots her in the back of the head.
so an
Latasha,
execution.
an execution of a child walking away. Latasha was clutching the money to pay for the orange juice in her hand when she died. So police and EMT show up and there's literally a corpse clutching cash, and this bitch is like, she was trying to steal orange juice. Soon Ja-do is arrested and charged with the killing of Latasha Harlins, and 4 LAPD officers are arrested and charged in the Rodney King beating. Ja-do's trial comes first, and in November of 1991, she is found guilty of voluntary manslaughter, and she is sentenced to 5 years probation. She has time served. She's not going to jail. She's on probation for the summary execution of a child.
Why was it manslaughter?
I don't know why it was voluntary manslaughter in the first place. Like, I don't know why that was what the state charged
I've
her
like
with,
never
as
seen a
opposed
more
to
like
murder.
cut and dry case of like,
Second-degree murder. Like,
yeah, like money in hand.
and the security camera footage.
Yeah.
Of the altercation and of
I
her
mean-
walking away. Because even
I mean,
like,
the answer
even
is she was black, right?
that's
like,
it. That's 100% it. It was Latasha
like
Harlins
there's
was
like
black.
literally no possible explanation. There's like, she obviously wasn't like feeling threatened because she was walking away. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Even if Latasha had been the aggressor in that interaction, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
matter.
still don't
She
get to
was walking
fucking
away.
execute someone.
She was walking away.
Yeah.
And she was, again, I have to say this.
14.
She was a child. She was 14 years old. She was a fucking, like, I don't know if she was in 8th grade or 9th grade, but one of the two. She was either in her last year of middle school or her first year of high school. Like, that is a baby.
Yeah. But black people don't get to be children.
But black people don't get to be children. Black people's
A
lives are
13-year-old
devalued.
black boy is
Mhm.
a young man.
Yeah.
Whereas like a 19-year-old fucking lacrosse rapist is like a young boy with his whole
life ahead of
future.
him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mhm.
Okay. There's like so much left to this and I'm already so mad.
I know.
But go on.
I know. It is, I mean, like, there if it piques your interest, there is so much material out there about specifically these two cases and the LA riots that followed. And it is fascinating and infuriating, and it's so important, I think, to understand not just everything kind of about modern American politics, but also like the city of LA. Like, I live in a powder keg. And every few years it bursts because of these constant injustices. Like Latasha isn't the only one as well, you know?
Obviously, yeah.
It was just like this happened to be a case that there like the footage speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And it happened to happen at the exact same time that there was a high profile LAPD beating in the same area. So this is why it turned into a powder keg. So then in April of 1992, a jury finds the 4 LAPD officers, Stacy Kuhn, Theodore Briseño, Timothy Wind, and Lawrence Powell, not guilty in the beating of Rodney King.
What do
And
you mean not guilty?
They were doing it on camera.
Not guilty doesn't mean they didn't do it. Like,
yeah,
it's like, well, they did it, obviously, but they're not like guilty of doing it. Like, okay. Well, I mean, this is the thing. It's like the justice system has done an inquiry into the enforcers of the justice system and found that they enforce the justice system.
Yeah.
Like,
we looked into it and we found out that we are not guilty.
Okay.
And I mean, like, I'm sure, I don't know. I don't care. I'm trying to like make it make sense in my mind.
Racism is the thing that makes it make
illogical.
Sense.
Yeah.
Like
it's just that. So just like the Watts riots, the Watts uprising 30 years earlier, the Black community in South Central LA is like, fuck this shit. There will never be any justice in the city that clearly, like, fundamentally views Black people as less than human. Let's burn it all down. And it basically ends up being the Watts uprising, but with inflation. So the riots lasted for 6 days. There was over $1 billion in property damage, 12,000 arrests, and 68 people died. So
okay, less nice.
Yeah, less nice. The arrests and the death. I believe I said it in the last episode, but the Watts uprising, I think, was like 30 something people. So it's literally like plus 30 years inflation.
Yeah,
just more dead. As soon as the riots started breaking out, a lot of the live media coverage on the scene was broadcast by a helicopter pilot reporter, Zoe Tour, who would actually end up being the reporter following the OJ Simpson Bronco chase a couple years later. Does the name Zoe Tour ring a bell?
No.
So she is the trans woman in that very famous clip with Ben Shapiro constantly calling her sir, and she grabs him by the back of his neck and says, if you keep doing that, you're going to go home in an ambulance. That is Zoe Tour.
Based.
Yeah. She's our problematic queen. I do kind of stan. She is like kind of like the more problematic side of the media, though, because she's like a helicopter reporter.
Yeah.
It's a little ambulance chasey, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
So all of this is that I'm summing up in like, you know, a few lines when you could literally dedicate an entire podcast to it, is just important context for the sort of cultural zeitgeist in Los Angeles at the time of OJ Simpson's arrest. Yes, OJ had done a lot of work at the start of his career to distance himself from the Black community, but Black Americans, and I think Americans at large, still assumed that the justice system would treat him like a Black man, which is to say that it would treat him as something less than human when at the time that he was arrested. This is a system which has historically always treated Black victims less seriously and Black defendants more harshly. And, you know, now in 2024, we've got hindsight because we've got published confessions and a better understanding of intimate partner violence than people in the 1990s had. But I think it's really important to remember the context that the public lacked then and the context that we tend to forget now when discussing the murder case. I think that there were a lot more people who were not convinced of his guilt before he wrote a book about doing the murders, you know?
Yeah.
Having set all that up, Shall we take a little ad break? And then when we come back, we'll meet ourselves back on June 12th, 1994.
Oh, good. Yeah.
On June 12th, 1994, OJ and Nicole Simpson's daughter, Sydney, had a dance recital. Before June 12th, Faye Resnick, Nicole's friend, had suggested to Nicole that they get out of town, maybe go to Cabo. Things had been so hard for both of them, and they needed to get away. But Nicole needed to be there when her daughter danced on June 12th. So Faye went to rehab, and Nicole went to a dance recital. The rest of the Browns were there too. Nicole's mother and father and sisters, sitting in a cluster of seats in the auditorium of Paul Revere Middle School. OJ showed up late, and no one saved a seat for him. He left partway through the lengthy recital and came back with a bouquet of flowers for Sydney, taking his seat again apart from the Brown family. After the recital, as the home movie played by the defense showed, OJ greeted each member of the Brown family, except for Nicole. According to OJ, he was invited to dinner at Mezzaluna and declined. According to everyone else who was there, he asked to join the family for dinner, and Nicole said, "No, fuck off. You're not part of this family anymore. You're not welcome." When
All
OJ
very
got...
fucking true.
Yes.
Like,
Good for you, sweetie. Good for
I know. I
her.
love that.
I wish the story ended there.
This is also the kind of like a very clear demonstration of like, why aren't women more upfront when trying to turn down guys?
Because
It's
they
like, well,
murder us.
yeah.
This is it. I mean, this is what people say.
It was a
in
blow to his
response.
ego, right? Like,
Yeah, it was a blow to his ego. This is what people say in response to like the why didn't she ever try to leave? Well, like, first of all, she did. And like, secondly, like when you do stuff like that, usually they come back to your house and kill you later.
yeah. Like,
Not
what do you mean
usually,
leave?
But very often.
Leave where?
Yeah,
Like,
go where?
Where was he not going to be able to find her?
Exactly.
Like, especially when he has that much like power and influence and wealth. Like,
when OJ got home from the dance recital, he had a voicemail from his girlfriend, Paula Barbieri, telling him that she had had enough of his lying, cheating, and mistreatment of her, and that she was breaking up with him and boarding a plane to Las Vegas to be with Michael Bolton, of all people. Isn't that a weird detail?
The next person I break up with, I am going to leave this exact message.
I'm going to Las Vegas to be with Michael Bolton.
Michael never treats me the way you do.
Goodbye, loser. That's not how she said it. It's actually very sad. She said afterwards that she did the voicemail because every time she tried to do something like that in person, he would manipulate her out of it. Yeah. Like, this is another like smoking gun. Like, so he gets the ego death of being snubbed by Nicole at the dance recital, and then like when he gets home, his other girlfriend, his insurance policy, has broken up with him and left town.
Yeah.
Nicole and her family had dinner at Mezzaluna, and then Nicole took Sydney and Justin for ice cream at Ben & Jerry's. At 9:37 p.m., Nicole's mother, Judy, called Mezzaluna saying she thought she had left her sunglasses at the restaurant. The manager of the restaurant found the glasses, and Ron Goldman, a 25-year-old waiter who was good friends with the Brown family and especially with Nicole, offered to take them to Nicole's place. This story is just full of so many like... Speaking of Titanic, moments. So many of those Titanic moments where you're just like, oh, just like
a little nudge, like, could have changed everything.
Judy must have nightmares about those glasses as well. Like, I know Nicole still would have been dead, but like the whole reason there was a whole second person there is because of the fucking glasses, and that's got to be the kind of thing to keep you up at night for the rest of your life.
Unless you're OJ.
Unless you're OJ. He seemed to have slept very well.
And now he's sleeping forever.
And isn't that really the nicest thing about our podcast? Isn't that just like why every ending is happy here?
I would not be able to. I know I've said this a million times, but I would not be able to handle these stories if I didn't know this piece of fucking shit was dead. If I knew that he was like still out there walking around, I would be like bawling my eyes out right now. But
That's
I'm
the
like,
beauty of this podcast.
I could go like dig him up and shake his bones if I wanted to, and that makes me feel good.
So Nicole was 10 years older than Ron, but Ron was like very handsome and the two were like super flirty. And Faye Resnick later said that she was sure the two of them were like destined to sleep together one day. Other
I
than
like
her.
how she didn't even say like date.
They're
She's like
destined to fuck.
It's written in the stars that
will
he
their friendship is like ours.
I love them.
That's how
I
we would
know.
talk about each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you were destined to glug that waiter.
Like it's a shame she died. She really, really wanted to fuck a podcaster.
Just
like going up to the pallbearer, me being like, oh, she would have loved you.
It's so true. It's so personal. I love it. Their friendship is so much like ours. Except, we're still alive. However, other than Faye Resnick, all of Nicole's friends just said that Ron and Nicole were just like friends. And like the kind of friends that you
Well, they were friends, right?
Yeah, they were friends. They were friends that like he's the guy at your local restaurant that you like go to a lot that you like make friends with, and then I think
want to fuck.
And want to fuck. I think they'd gone out for coffee like one time, but everybody else said it was just platonic. I think Faye probably knows more than the rest of them though. Yeah. Faye's a ride or die. Around 9 p.m. over at Rockingham, OJ starts acting really weird. And he takes Kaylin. I mean, like, weird for OJ.
Okay. I'm like, it's been a couple decades, bestie.
He's like acting kind of cagey and like not charming and fun. He's like, he seems a little on edge.
Okay.
And he takes Kato Kaylin. Remember our buddy Kato Kaylin? Blonde himbo with a similar name to you.
Lived in the doghouse outside of
yes,
Nicole's place.
And there was also a dog, Kato the dog.
Right. Right. Okay.
Dogs all around. But yes, he lived in the dog, and now he lives in OJ's doghouse.
Right.
Which is why we have this information about OJ acting weird, because Kato was there. And he's like, oh.
And Kato wasn't there at Nicole's to protect her because OJ took him away.
Over to his house. Yep.
Yeah.
OJ's acting weird, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go to McDonald's. And Kato was like, can I come? I love McDonald's.
He's like, he wanted his pop cup.
Oh, no.
This golden retriever.
He really
in the
is.
passenger seat.
I love him. I want to protect
Kato
him.
Kaylin.
Can I come? So OJ takes Kato Kaylin through the McDonald's drive-thru.
Not this bitch being like, oh, well, now I need to take him or he's going to be suspicious.
Literally. He's like, oh, fuck. Now I got to take this guy to McDonald's. I wasn't going to go to McDonald's. I was going to go kill my wife. So OJ had a red-eye flight to Chicago to catch that evening. And it was like for some kind of a thing with Hertz the next day. So the limo to drive him to the airport was scheduled to arrive around 10:30 p.m. So right now we're around like 9-ish. There's about an hour and a half between Kato and OJ going to McDonald's and when the taxi is supposed to arrive. Around 10:15, Nicole's neighbors reported hearing Kato the dog barking. Some neighbors also heard a male voice saying, hey, hey, hey. Ron Goldman's family think that this might have been Ron coming upon the murder of Nicole already in progress while trying to return the glasses. Mm-hmm. The coroner's findings seem to suggest that Nicole was first knocked unconscious, maybe like with the butt of the knife, and then the killer later returned to her, possibly after killing Ron Goldman to finish the job. So Ron might have come upon her already knocked out. He kills Ron and then goes back to finish. Which, like, to me, like, the only small blessing for Nicole is that means she was probably out very quickly. Ron, however, was not. and Ron Goldman suffered more than 30 stab wounds. And he was found basically sitting up against a fence. It looks like he tried to get away. It's awful.
I recently found out they actually call that overkill, which is
It's
like,
really called overkill. That's where we get the word
yeah.
from.
Well, I don't know
Maybe
if that's where
nice
the
to know.
word is. I don't know if it's like a reverse situation where
Oh.
they were like, well, what else would we call it other than overkill? I learned this because of anti-gay murders, because often they are overkill. Like there'll be
Right.
like
Because they're very personal.
150 stab wounds or something like that. Like something like
Killing with a
is
knife in
very
general
personal.
is very personal. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember all of the details of the murder. I'm glossing over the actual details because that is not what this podcast is about. But if I'm remembering correctly, it was like a couple of the first stab wounds that ultimately were the fatal wounds. They were like in arteries, but
Mhm.
obviously the killer kept going. Nicole Brown Simpson's throat was cut so deeply that she was nearly decapitated. At approximately 10:40, Cato Kalin was on the phone with a friend, and he heard 3 thumps outside of the guest house he lived in, which the prosecution would allege was the sound of OJ returning home after committing the murders and slamming into the wall or something. Around that same time, the limo driver, who had been waiting for OJ since 10:25, got there early, began ringing the buzzer at the gate at Rockingham, and Cato Kalin answered. OJ appeared a few minutes later saying he'd overslept. So this is around like 10:40, 10:45.
I'm going to McDonald's and then
They went to
I'm
McDonald's at
immediately gonna take
9.
a like 10 p.m. nap or whatever. Like,
Yeah, that was it. They went to McDonald's at
mhm.
9. He was, as soon as they got back, he was like, I'm going to go get some shut eye for a little bit before the limo arrives. 10:15 is when we hear Kato the dog barking. So that's probably around when they've been killed.
Yeah.
Um, and 10:40 is when Kato hears the thump. So that's probably OJ coming home.
Okay.
At 10:55, back over at Nicole's, Kato the dog, covered completely in blood, which has got to be like fucking terrifying for the neighbor. A dog walks up to you just like covered in blood. And it was like, I think it was like an Akita or something. Like it was a big dog. It was a big dog. He found one of Nicole's neighbors and followed him home. The neighbor tried to get Cato the dog to lead him back to Nicole, but Cato wouldn't. So he gave him to some other neighbors, a couple, to watch overnight. And Cato led this other couple to the scene of the crime around midnight, and they called the police. So he was pulling a Lassie. He was like, Mom's in trouble. Please, please follow me. OJ's limo driver said that he was acting weird. He complained about it being too hot and rolled down the windows, even though it was a cool night. And he refused to let the limo driver handle one of his duffel bags, the one that would disappear a few days later, in which many people believe OJ stowed his clothes and the murder weapon before instructing his friend Bob Kardashian to get rid of it. So OJ flies to Chicago. A passenger on his flight testifies that they don't see any cut on his hands, which is going to be a thing that the police ask him about, because when they bring OJ in for questioning, OJ's got this like pretty significant cut on one of his fingers, and his story about how he got that cut like changes several times. There's like one time that he says he doesn't know how he got it. There's a time that he says that he got it from a wire hanger while packing. He says he got it breaking a glass when the police informed him that Nicole was dead. He told the hotel in Chicago that it was a paper cut. Like, the cut is sus because the story keeps changing about the
Yeah.
cut. People on the plane, at least one person on the plane anyway, says that they didn't see any cut on his hand.
And like, were they looking?
Yeah. That's only about as significant as like an eyewitness testimony can be, because you're not.
Yeah.
If you see a celebrity, you're not really looking at their hands. You're like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
OJ Simpson. So Mark Furman, that racist cop I told you about last episode, who
Mhm.
responded to the domestic dispute, is one of the officers who actually informs OJ of Nicole's death. And he's also the guy who discovers the bloody glove on OJ's property. So, like, there's the two
Mhm.
gloves. One of them is at the scene. One of them is at OJ's property. OJ pretty much immediately returns home, and on June 13th, he's interviewed by the police for only a half an hour. And they're very kind and apologetic about it. He also fails multiple polygraph tests. I know polygraph tests are very easy to.
Well, polygraphs are nonsense, but if the police are using them as if they're not, then those failures should count for something.
Should be significant, yeah. The very next day after his police interview, he starts assembling his defense team of trial lawyers, what will be known as the Dream Team, just like Lizzie Borden. Bob Shapiro, Johnny Cochran, who would ultimately coin the phrase "if it doesn't fit, you must acquit" for the glove, which marketing fucking genius.
Of
And
course.
he would go on to represent Michael Jackson in the 1993 child molestation trials. Robert Kardashian, who was more than anything just a good friend of OJ's. He'd actually let his license to practice law lapse before the trial, and he had to renew it to join OJ's team and help him. F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, who would go on to represent Julian Assange, Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and Donald Trump, which is a gallery of rogues over here.
Jesus Christ.
Icon. Love him. Can't wait for your episode, bestie. Peter Neufeld, Gerald F. Ullman, Robert Blazier, Carl E. Douglas, and Sean Hawley. So that is a big ass motherfucking team.
Yeah.
And half of them are celebrity lawyers. Some of them kind of become famous as a result of this case, but a good number, Johnny Cochran was well known before. And
Yeah.
this makes
Oh,
him
yeah.
even more well known. So he has got Goliaths on his team. 3 days later, on June 17th, OJ is informed that he's going to be charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder based on his DNA tests from the scene of the crime coming back with matches to his. This entire time, OJ has been staying at Bob Kardashian's place, basically because the media circus around his house is too much to deal with. And he's been pretty heavily sedated because a lot of his friends are really worried at this point that he's going to hurt himself. He's acting suicidal in the first few days after. It's very common for. That's one of the things that they tell you to look out for, right? Do you have a friend who is suddenly acting really sullen and suicidal? Yeah. And that's one of the things that they say. People who have just committed a murder tend to get really depressed about it.
Yeah, and anxious, very fidgety, complete going into squirrel mode basically is what I've heard.
Yeah. OJ had also immediately after the murders called Paula Barbieri in Las Vegas and told her that he needed her, so she dropped everything and flew back to take care of him because she was really worried that he was going to kill himself.
Because his ex had died?
Yeah.
The way he used it to get sympathy is
yes.
So fucked up.
Yeah. Literally that. And Paula also carried a lot of guilt over Nicole's death because
of course I would too.
Yeah, and she I don't know how she feels about him now. I've heard passages from her book where she keeps insisting that she knows that he's innocent, but then we'll have these serious moments of doubt. So I think now she probably knows. But she just refused whenever those thoughts would come up, she would just push them down and be no, this is OJ. He's a good guy. She also felt guilt because back when she was the other woman, she would constantly wish that Nicole would just go away. So she feels in the grand scheme of things, she's going to go to hell or whatever because she wished that Nicole would disappear. And it's so heartbreaking. This woman really got, everybody in OJ's immediate circle got hurt by this. OJ got hurt by this. He has the least amount of my sympathy, but there are still moments where I feel sympathy for him. Everyone just got their lives absolutely rocked by this. The LAPD notify Bob Shapiro about the charges around 8:30 on the morning of June 17th, and they agree to let OJ turn himself in rather than arrest him, as they don't think that he's a flight risk.
Oh.
I love when the police are clowns. Like,
Like,
hate it when they're beating people up, but love it when they're clowns.
like literally, like what's he gonna do? Like
Get into his
escape?
Bronco and drive away? I love it.
It's especially funny because the night of the murder, he got on a flight.
Like, yes, he's such a flight risk.
He's not even like a flight risk. He's like a flight.
He's a flyer. He's a
proven.
frequent flyer.
Like,
It's so good. So the LAPD gives him an initial deadline of 11 a.m. to turn himself in, which I also think is really cute. Like, turn yourself in, and you can make an appointment.
Yeah, I was
use our
about to
appointment
say
system.
me going on and like going to like cancel it, but they won't let me because it's within 24 hours. I'm like, can I just reschedule to tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I have some things that I wanted to do first.
Yeah. I have an eyelash appointment at the same time. It's running over. I can't go to prison without my eyelashes.
Oh God, imagine showing up to prison with bald eyes like a Toronto squirrel.
Then I'll never have respect. They'll never respect me in prison. Then the LAPD end up extending the deadline to noon for him because he's running a little late.
But did he call them and say he was running late, or are they just like, he's not here, so we'll just extend it?
I believe it was Bob Kardashian who called. Either Bob Kardashian or Bob Shapiro. There's two Bobs. Okay. I get confused. Bob Shapiro is eyebrows guy, heavy eyebrows. And Bob Kardashian is
David Schwimmer.
Ross from Friends. Yes. BT dubs, everybody. For the morgue for this two-parter, we will be watching the Ryan Murphy show because I've never seen it before.
American Crime Story.
Yes. So if you're not subscribed to our Patreon, you may want to sign up for this little one-off because in addition to doing our little, breakdown of the two-parter, we're also going to be doing a breakdown of a wonderful season of television from everything that I've heard. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mouse.
Hi, Mouse. Hi,
Yes,
Goose.
hello.
Hello, Goose. I love your feet so much.
I love his stupid rabbit feet. Show me them feet, King.
Show me those feet. I want to see them feet.
Oh, this is somebody's new ringtone.
Not my feet ASMR. So the LAPD call a press conference because they're expecting OJ to show up any minute now.
Mm-hmm.
And 1,000 journalists show up to this press conference to get pictures of OJ's perp walk. So like perp walks aren't really a thing in Canada, are they?
I don't know. Like that's like something you'd watch on the news. But is this like where they bring them from like the car into the station and everybody takes cute little photos?
Yeah.
Like a prison red carpet.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like a media thing. And I think the US is like the only or one of the only Western nations that does something like that because we're fucked up.
I'm thinking about like the main like big murders I've seen, like murderers I've seen get arrested in Canada, and I don't remember seeing any like shots of this, like Bruce MacArthur.
Yeah.
We don't even have cameras in the courtrooms or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean I know some countries have specifically outlawed this kind of a thing. I think a lot of other countries just don't do it, and the US is trashy, so we love this shit. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I didn't see anything about it. I was very curious.
Yeah, I really don't think it's done really outside of the US. It's like a cute
What's
little
weird?
cultural moment. It's very strange. It's very tabloidy, and it's
Like the
like
prison
very normalized
paparazzi.
here. Yes,
Like,
we have prison paparazzi. It's very normalized here. It's like it's literally like a part of our justice system. Is like, well, we got to get a cute little photo. If you don't put it
I
on the gram, it
mean,
doesn't count.
is it fucked up? Yes. Is it helpful? Of course. Is it fucked up? No.
Only if they don't Facetune you before they post those
Oh
pictures.
no,
And
then it
then,
is
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you
You'll
just
have
hold
to
on
do
and let
some
me
skin
take it?
smoothing.
Like,
Yeah.
takes their camera. And I'm like, no, just
No.
right up, just a little higher, babe. I'm a
Yeah.
millennial.
Get down here. Yeah, no, girly. I would not be making that appointment for 11 a.m. I'd be making it for golden hour.
Yeah.
The skin needs all the help it could get. But then the LAPD look like fools because OJ does not turn himself in, and they have to make an announcement that he's a fugitive at 1:50 p.m.
Okay, why wouldn't you have someone outside his house though?
Waiting? Yeah, why would you
Like-
not have someone like to escort him? He's gonna drive his
Yeah.
own ass to jail? I think the fuck not. Like, this is on you. This is like, sorry, like this is one of the situations where I'm like, I guess I'm on Team OJ. Like, you're a bunch of clowns.
These cops were literally asking for this. Like,
Yeah.
it's like as stupid as fuck. They're like, that's weird. He was supposed to be here.
2 hours ago. You're late.
They're like, oh, when he gets here, I'm gonna give him such a talking to,
I know.
and he'll get here.
I made
I'm sure.
crudités. They're getting warm. Nobody likes
Oh,
warm
God.
hummus.
They're so stupid. I
They're
love
so
it.
stupid. When they go to Bob Kardashian's house to arrest OJ and his friend Al Cowlings, AC, have disappeared, and OJ left behind 3 letters. So, like, not only was there no one there, OJ had time to, like, write some notes before he left. 3 of them.
Dear police, I'm sorry you're so incredibly stupid. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to get on my white Bronco and ride away from this prison sentence.
Aw, riding off into the sunset.
Love, Orgenthal.
So one of these letters is a note that like sounds an awful lot like a suicide note that Bob Kardashian reads aloud at a press conference at 5 p.m. Bob Kardashian is like, I've got a letter. Let me call a press conference. And the media obviously is like, yes, we love this messy shit. And then just like reads it out live. And it's a suicide note. It's absolutely a suicide note. So basically he is holding this press conference just as the Bronco chase is like starting. So OJ and AC get in the white Bronco, and OJ claims that he makes AC drive him to the cemetery where Nicole is buried, and his plan was to kill himself at her grave. OJ is obviously an unreliable narrator, but I personally do buy that he was suicidal at the time. I don't know whether I believe that he would have gone through with it. But I believe that the things that he was feeling were real. Like, I believe that he wanted to end his life. OJ claims that they almost got to the cemetery and then they had to turn around because there was too much of a media presence at the cemetery because OJ's on the lam.
Yeah.
So obviously they all go to Nicole's grave. At one point he like tells AC he wants to like go see his mom. He's like behaving super erratically. And he places a 911 call that's traced to near the cemetery in Lake Forest. And a few minutes later, someone reports that they've seen OJ Simpson and Al Cowlings in a white Bronco on the I-5 freeway heading north. And when the media and police finally track the white Bronco down, OJ is apparently sitting in the back seat with a gun to his own head and allegedly threatening to pull the trigger if AC didn't take him like everywhere that he wanted to go. So this is like horribly traumatic for AC as well. Like his friend is threatening to blow his brains out in the backseat of the car he's driving. By about 6:45 p.m., LAPD find OJ in the white Bronco and start tailing him going at about 35 miles an hour. And the very first reporters to find OJ are Zoe Tour and her wife, Marika Gerard. As I was kind of like talking about earlier, helicopter footage of car chases was at the time like a very LA specific thing.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even see it a lot in the rest of the country because this was like a celebrity thing. This becomes breaking news throughout the country. Like they interrupt broadcasts to show this low speed Bronco chase, and it kind of like turns helicopter car chases into like a thing in the US.
Yeah.
And while all of this is happening, OJ, one of the phone calls that OJ makes from his cell phone is to Paula Barbieri. And she turns on the news and she's basically watching bird's eye footage of the Bronco chase while OJ is inside the car telling her that he needs her and shit.
From his car phone.
From his cell phone.
Oh, they had cell phones? What year is this?
95, 94, 94. A very big cell phone.
Okay. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
OJ's adult children are also all watching this on TV or both watching this on TV and sobbing. Like I do want to keep underlining, like it is very funny now because it's like a low speed. It's not even a chase. It looks like a parade. But like I do want to like underline how horrible and traumatic this was for the people around OJ.
Of course, yeah.
A bunch of radio announcers on various local radio stations were begging OJ to turn himself in while they were on air, like in case he was listening to the radio.
That's so dramatic.
It's so. I bet it was amazing for numbers.
Oh, the main character energy of being like Orem Falls. If you're listening to me right now, turn yourself in, as if you like know him. And like he didn't think of that before. He was supposed to turn himself in, and then he was like, "No, I don't think
and
so."
He was like,
actually,
I don't think I
goodbye.
want to do that. Actually,
I think the fuck not. Vroom vroom, bitches. Catch me if you can.
Bye bye. A former USC football coach of OJ's called him and begged him not to do anything stupid while both men just like sobbed over the phone. It was awful. It was awful. Like,
it's wild saying like don't do anything stupid while someone's in the middle of a police chase. I'm
I
like,
know.
too late, babes.
I think he's begging him not to kill himself.
Oh.
Because he's got a gun to his head this entire time.
Okay, the call from me would have been very different.
Well, actually, there's kind of a conversation with Bob Kardashian that's like that. It's not like that. Before he goes on like the Bronco chase, he has like this weird walk with Bob Kardashian where he expresses to him his like desire to kill himself. And at first, like Bob Kardashian is doing like he's actually like really smart about the way he talks to this person who's, again, I feel like is going through like very real suicidal ideation. Like I don't think he's making that up. I don't think he's being manipulative.
Well, I think he actually thinks he's going to jail, right?
Yes.
Like that's why he runs.
Yeah. So he's like, Bob Kardashian like walks around with it because, you know, they're at his house and he walks around with him and he's like, well, you can't do it in this room because this is my daughter's room and I don't want you to kill yourself in my daughter's room. And then OJ's like, cool, let's go out on the lawn. And he's like, well, I don't want you to do it on my lawn because if you do it on my lawn, every time I'm out here, I'm going to think about you being dead. Like, just like, which I think is like fucking so smart.
Oh, it's so smart. Yeah.
Like such a smart way to talk someone out of doing it. But then at the end, like, kind of like co-signs like OJ, like you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And I think like he knows that OJ's gonna leave the property and not turn himself in and might kill himself. Like I really think Bob Kardashian thought he was gonna kill himself. So he has like, I guess, kind of that conversation with him. It's like, you're an adult man, I can't like control anything that you're gonna do.
You're an adult human male and you have a sex-based right.
You have a sex-based right to put a bullet in your fucking brain. Oh my god, that's so based. Adult human males have got a sex-based right to put a bullet in their brains. I'm gonna become the next TERF t-shirt seller.
Oh, they wouldn't buy it though because they love men.
Ew.
Just not men in wigs and lipstick. I love when they say that about me too. And I'm like, it's lip plumper. And do you think if I got a wig, it would be this stringy? Like,
they say it about me too. So it's
it's a
fine.
gorgeous wig.
I know. It's beautiful. This chase, this 35-mile-an-hour parade goes on for about 2 hours.
Oh my
And
God.
because they're going so slowly,
I would get
peop-
so sleepy.
I know. Oh my
You
God,
know
that's what you
how
could do when
holding
I was little, when I wouldn't go to sleep. You just drive me around in the car and I'd fall
Yeah.
asleep.
Okay, but also, have you ever tried like holding your hand up for 2 hours?
I mean, he was jacked. He was OJ.
Oh, right. I would have been like in the back, like,
Eventually, I would have been like, I'm just gonna like rest my chin on
yep.
it, and then I would
Like,
have accidentally done it. Oh no, that's not the way I wanted to do it.
Wait. Time out.
Content warning for suicide, I guess.
Oh, I love that we're going back to the old way of Respect the Dead, where I would say something horrifying and then it'd be like, content warning for that, I guess.
Content warning for that thing I just said. You know what you got yourself into listening to this fucking podcast.
I've always told you to listen to this podcast in reverse, and you didn't listen, so whose fault is that?
I've always told you not to listen to this podcast.
It's fair. We have said that.
Turn it off. Go do something else.
Get a life. Go
Literally, what are you
outside.
doing here? Please sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah, we love you.
So, because they're going so slowly, people watching it on TV can see what intersections OJ is passing and can gauge basically when he's going to pass through parts of the city. So, people start
You want to go out
gathering.
and
Yeah, you want to go out and
like a
cheer for OJ.
parade.
Literally like a parade. People who are already on the freeway pull
first
over to
pride.
the side. Oh no. People who are already on the freeway like start pulling over to the side and get out and stand on top of their cars and cheer for him. And like other people literally have time to make signs that say things like "Go OJ," and they like stand on freeway
I bet they weren't
overpasses
very
holding
nice
them.
though.
No, I mean you don't have that much time. It was only a 2-hour chase. Like when I go to a protest, the whole evening before is like about watching scary movies and decorating my sign.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
you know, so it's not one of those. It's just one of those like
Yeah.
just a marker and a piece of cardboard. But
Yeah.
still, that's how long it went on that they were like, okay, he's gonna be at no, I'm trying to think
I
of
bet they didn't even
5
have to
intersections.
rush.
No. Eventually, the LAPD follow the white Bronco to OJ's home to Rockingham, and OJ has an additional hour-long standoff in the car before surrendering to police. So, and again, all of this is on helicopter footage as well. Like AC gets out, and OJ stays in the car for like 45 minutes. There's an awful point. Like as soon as they get there, OJ's adult son Jason like runs out and he's like crying.
Oof.
And the police like train their weapons on him, and it's like he's not doing anything. He's just scared for his dad.
Yeah.
But they back down. It's awful. It's horrible for everyone involved. He really put his family and his friends through a lot of trauma, in addition to, you know, killing
The
some
murder.
of them. Yeah.
Murders.
Murders. In the Bronco, police found $8,000 in cash, a change of clothing, a loaded 357 millimeter Magnum, a United States passport, family pictures, and a disguise kit with a fake goatee and a mustache. This cartoon character. This cartoon character.
Yes.
I honestly stan it. Like,
okay.
Problematic fame, OJ.
I love that he had like $9,000 in Monopoly money and one of those pairs of glasses that has the mustache and the nose attached. Like,
I love it so much. He is a clown.
Where did it come out in the trial where he bought the mustache? Like, are we saying Party City or are we saying theatrical supply?
I think theatrical
store?
supply. I think
like, did he have spirit gum?
I don't think OJ's the kind of guy to skimp on this. He loves drama.
But I wonder if he sent like Bob to get it or
Possibly.
something.
I think
like,
he had it.
Go get like
I think he had
this
it.
is the only thing I care about.
I think he had it. I think he loved drama. He was a messy bitch who loved drama. I think he had some just in case he ever needed it. you
Oh,
know?
already?
Yes.
This was his go
And I bet
bag.
before he murdered Nicole, like sometimes he'd get the funny goatee out at parties because he wasn't getting enough attention. He'd be like, this is really gonna it's really gonna bring everyone back around to my side. I'm gonna get out the goatee. They're all gonna laugh.
Oh God. He's like this really kills at parties.
Aw.
Look at me. It's exactly like me,
Mm.
but with facial hair.
Hey guys,
But
look
you
at
never saw
this.
that coming, did you? You stupid pieces of shit.
Unfortunately, it is iconic. The Bronco chase was kind of what really elevated this celebrity murder trial into the trial of the century. It was such a
It's such a
spectacle. It
spectacle.
interrupted broadcasts. Yes,
Like now you're
exactly. Well,
invested.
now you're like, well, I have to see the trial. I started the series. I have to finish this series of television because I started it.
The pilot, amazing. I love the interactive bit where I got to go out and spit on his car as it drove by at like 2 miles an hour.
It was viewed by 95 million people.
Wait, how were viewers able to figure out where he was going and make signs, but the police couldn't like park a cop car in the road?
Because the LAPD are fucking dumb. Because being a cop is really easy. It takes like a middle school education.
Just go onto an overpass and push a piano off on
Literally.
his windshield. Like, the
Yes.
fuck?
So
God. The Barney Pfeiffery is off the charts.
So the car chase was viewed by 95 million people. By contrast, the Super Bowl that year had been viewed by 90 million. So like 5 million fewer people watched the Super Bowl than watched. Also, that is like a third of the country. Like today that
Now
I don't know how many
feel-
people lived in the US in
I feel-
1994, but today there's like 300 million people.
I feel bad about my YouTube views now. I'm like, they'll watch a car chase and you even like have to write a script for it. His analytics for that
1 of
chase
10.
must have been fucking amazing.
This video is performing better than usual.
Logs in, he just sees the little firework confetti
Our
thing going on.
brains are melting out of our ears.
This is very
Yeah.
much like behind the curtain, but like a disgusting curtain that you put up to block like the shower in your kitchen in a New York City apartment. This is not
No.
like a good behind the curtain.
So, like we were kind of saying, when the eventual trial rolls around, the American public are really invested in this murder case because like a fucking third of us watched the car chase on TV, and we were like, well, now we have to finish the series of television, like because I started it.
And if there's one thing we all know about the American public,
Yeah.
it's that they're disgusting.
Filthy.
Like
Reprehensible, all of us. Okay, so so this might piss a lot of people off, but I am not going to spend a lot of time talking about the trial today because there are so many.
how are they supposed to know what happened in
There
it
are
then?
like so many true crime podcasts and documentaries that have like broken down every single tiny detail of this 9-month long trial. That not only do I think it's superfluous, not only do I think that we just don't have time for it today, but I just don't actually care because procedural drama is not like our podcast niche.
No, and also that's on
Yeah.
purpose.
This is
Like-
just not our thing. Again, you can just Google OJ Simpson trial and find like a million other pieces of media. But if you want me to recommend one, I
Yeah.
recommended it 1,000 times in the first part. But OJ Made in America is truly a masterpiece. It is a work of art. And I think it does the best job of giving you the historical and racial context of the OJ Simpson trial. And it also like interviews some of the not only the jury members but like the trial lawyers from the
Yeah.
time. So like go watch that.
And we don't need you listening to it, writing down notes, and then reciting it on our
No.
podcast.
I'm not going to read a Wikipedia article about the fucking OJ Simpson trial.
Yeah, go do it yourself, lazy.
There was a bloody glove. Who cares? Who like I've got those sitting around my fucking apartment. What? Like you're not special.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
not
find gloves
special.
that fit either. You're not special. You're like, look how dainty my hands
His are too big and mine are too small. Look at it. That's a child-sized hand. I know. Look at
Not
that.
the little
Look,
baby hand
it's
on
so
your
small.
wrist.
Okay. We are going to talk about it like very briefly. But should we take a break for ads first? I love ads. I love
Absolutely.
money. Let's get an ad for gloves. Gloves.
Okay. Gloves. Do you need gloves? I love gloves. My favorite thing about gloves is SEO gloves.
Big glove, small glove. Big glove, small glove.
Let us know in the comment section if you just saw an ad for a glove. Just a single glove,
Yeah.
a single bloody glove.
Right, bloody glove or no glove, no love. Big glovin'.
Not no glove, no love. Because now I'm just picturing like a
Ew,
tiny
that's
bloody condom, and
awful.
that's so much worse.
We're awful. I love
We're
us so
disgusting.
much.
I love this podcast.
OJ was housed in a VIP part of the LA County Men's Central Jail.
Go to jail. Oh,
That's where he is. Yeah.
My automatic reaction of "fuck you, go to jail" did
We found
did
the
not
context.
work.
Go to hell. Go to hell.
Go to
not
real
VIP
jail.
So this VIP section where he was housed was he was there with the Menendez brothers, and he had actually yeah, I know.
What is going on in LA?
We're crazy. Oh my god, we're so crazy. And this is the fucking wildest shit. OJ had actually been friends with their family, and he'd been over to their house in Beverly Hills several times. The house that they murdered their parents in 1989. Yeah.
What the fuck?
This story, this cast of characters, the musical it would make.
What the fuck?
Do not make OJ Simpson the musical. That was a joke. Do not do it. If you're thinking about doing it, if you've written it, it better remain in your house when you die. Lock that shit the fuck up.
Long time listener.
Don't you dare.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
No, we will not have a rapping OJ. Wait, no, we will have a rapping OJ Simpson later. You do not want a rapping OJ Simpson for real. OJ enters a plea of not guilty on June 20th, and his criminal trial begins on January 24th, 1995. The criminal trial is televised, and I just want to read this quote by Marcia Clark, who was the lead prosecutor on the case from 2010. She said, "When the trial began, all of the networks were getting these hate mail letters because people's soap operas were being interrupted for the Simpson trial. But then what happened was the people who liked soap operas got addicted to the Simpson trial, and they got really upset when the Simpson trial was over, and people would come up to me on the street and say, 'God, I loved your show.'" The brainworms.
Americans? I would be so interested to get like a composition test done on the
Full
water
of fluoride.
there.
So much
Like,
fluoride, which is why all of us have like
Angus.
really nice white teeth, but like our brains are like tapioca pudding, like seeping out of our ears.
Very strong, healthy teeth that are also growing inside your brain.
Teeth.
Tell us if you get an ad for teeth later.
Oh no. Like, okay, this case was pure entertainment. This trial was entertainment. Kato Kalin becomes a celebrity over this. Like, people stand outside the courtroom with
he's
with
beautiful.
posters like "I love you, Kato." Like,
That would have been
I
me.
would have loved him. Paula Barbieri appears in Playboy. That's really fucking sad. Yeah.
Everybody's cashing
Being a
the
centerfold
fucking...
over dating OJ Simpson.
Fuck off.
Allegedly, the first question President Boris Yeltsin asks President Bill Clinton when they meet in 1995 is, "Do you think OJ did it?"
everybody's
everyone
fucked.
I have so much sympathy
I
for
love
everyone
this
involved,
so
and also
much.
everyone involved is
Cooked.
trash. Like,
Okay, these people were licking lead paint off of
it's
their
so
cribs. It was
true.
before we had shielding
There
and
was lead in the
microwaves.
gasoline.
Like babes, all the babes were getting
Mhm.
cooked straight to hell. These soupy
Yeah.
gray brains. There
Oh my
was no
god, yeah.
ozone layer
The
for a
skin
couple
was so
years. Who knows
crispy,
what could have gotten
and
in?
so were our brains.
Imagine coming to America, taking it like zero seriously, being like, so who do you think A is in Pretty Little
Literally, like,
Liars?
after
Like,
af
it's...
like, Boris Yeltsin as well, like, you're too
Do you think Charity's
this
gonna
is
get out of the
not,
well
like,
in
2
Passions?
countries that are, like, long-term allies where they can make these kinda jokes. This is like, we've been in a Cold War for, like, 40 years, and you're like, "So, do you think OJ is guilty?"
You know what? This is like, no, this makes sense to me. This is like when you get in a fight with a friend and you're
Start
not
talking
quite
again.
sure how to like, yeah, you're like, did you see that like Brianna, they found like worms in Brianna Wu's brain or
You're
whatever,
like,
and then
"Oh,
you're able
thank
to
God."
like
The tension
start
just
chatting up
dissipates.
again.
Uh, like I mentioned, Marsha Clark is assigned lead prosecutor in the case. That's Sarah Paulson. And before the Simpson trial, she
Hmm.
had won another very highly publicized murder trial. There was an actress named Rebecca Schaefer who was stalked and killed by one of her fans, which is something that as YouTubers, we fear this every day. We live in fear.
Hmm. This is why my
Same.
curtains are
For
always
everyone
closed
complaining
in
about
these
the fucking lighting
videos.
in my videos, I'm not opening those damn curtains.
The way I was like, I hope they can't see the building across the street from me, if there is one, through my eyes.
I live in the middle of an empty field in the middle of nowhere.
I'm a nowhere from Nowheresville.
So the man that she prosecutes for killing Rebecca Schaefer is still serving out a life sentence for her murder. She's like a rising star amongst prosecutors for this case when she gets assigned the OJ Simpson case. And after losing the Simpson case, Marsha Clark would resign from the DA and mostly just worked as a commentator and in entertainment since. She was just like, fuck this, not a lawyer anymore. Marsha Clark had been raped when she was 17, a traumatic event she claims led to her becoming a prosecutor, and she believed on sort of a gut level that all women, regardless of race or class, would be sympathetic to the domestic violence aspects of the case. But the defense's pretrial research suggested that Black women would be unsympathetic to Nicole because of tensions over interracial marriages. So we had like this weird situation where both the prosecution and defense agreed to have a disproportionately female jury for completely different reasons. And
Hmm.
I think that little detail is just one of the details that highlights some of the intersections of race and gender that this case kind of sat at. In addition to all of the
Yeah.
more bombastic elements of celebrity and media, part of what made this so compelling to the public was the way it really picked at a lot of old wounds. The trial lasted 9 months, but on October 3rd, 1995, at 10:07 a.m., after just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury declares O.J. Simpson not guilty in the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. And this not guilty verdict, the public response to it was basically charged with or blamed for harming relations, like race relations in America. A lot of white Americans believed that it was an example of jury nullification, basically, like a jury disingenuously submitting a not guilty verdict when they knew that the defendant was guilty, as payback for
Yeah.
Rodney King. One of the jurors interviewed in OJ Made in America says that this was the case for her and that she thought 90% of the jurors came to their decision as payback for Rodney King. But another one of them refutes that idea. And honestly, like, to me, it seems like the woman who said that it was payback, like, she seemed like a little pissed off with the interviewer. So who even knows if that was like actually her mindset in 1995 or if she was just saying something.
I don't believe that 90% of jurors would
Right.
ever have the same reason. Like each one would find like a specific piece of evidence the most
Mhm.
compelling or whatever, least compelling. Like that's
Yeah.
not how people work. Juries don't just like agree on literally everything like that.
I could almost see like 90% of the jurors thought that he was probably guilty, but still opted for a not guilty verdict because you have to have you
Because
have
of
to
the
be
evidence.
you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And I could see that 90% of them were
Yeah.
probably like, I think he probably did it, but the prosecution didn't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, and I just can't send a man to prison when there are still doubts. I would do the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
In OJ Made in America, Marsha Clark describes seeing one of the jury members stand up and hold up his fist in the Black Power sign. And they also cut together all this video footage of Black Americans cheering and white Americans crying. It's all like very uncomfortable to watch, and uh,
Mhm.
nobody looks good. The white people being like, he threw up the Black Power sign is like, okay, shut up, Marsha. Whatever.
Yeah.
There may be like some truth to the payback narrative, but honestly, like my incredibly lukewarm take is that even though I now know because of the result of the civil trial and his multiple alleged confessions that he is guilty, the jury probably came to the right decision. Like white America saw this as an injustice because they saw him as getting away with murder. But in terms of how our legal system is supposed to work,
Yeah.
I think that this is an appropriate carriage of justice, and this is like not a fucking hot take. It should be really, really fucking hard to put someone away for first degree murder, and it should be really, really fucking hard
Yeah.
to sentence someone to 25 to life.
Yeah, like maybe you would have like surveillance footage of them shooting someone in the back of the head. Something like
Probation,
that
5 years
might
probation.
might
That
work,
might
but
convince me, but yeah, like the prosecution didn't have the best case, and the defense's job is not to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he didn't do it. It's just to show that there is enough doubt that possibly he couldn't do it. And like maybe a lot of Black America was celebrating payback for Rodney King or whatever. But more than that, I just think that they were celebrating that OJ's celebrity afforded him the kind of fair trial that was heretofore unheard of for Black men in America, which is true. And
yeah.
like has been the case since. Like I don't think that OJ Simpson got an unfair trial. I think he's one of the few cases of someone who got a fair trial because he was a celebrity. And more of us should have trials like OJ
Yeah.
Simpson's. The justice system, I put this in my notes, like the justice system wasn't unfairly biased toward OJ. It's just that because he was rich and famous and beloved, that the system worked for him the way it's supposed to work. So having said that,
Yeah.
trial over. Shall we take another ad break? A civil trial follows the criminal trial, and OJ is unanimously found liable for the wrongful deaths of Ron and Nicole. One of the most significant differences between the criminal and the civil trial is that OJ is cross-examined in the civil trial, whereas he was not in the criminal trial. And he not only like doesn't perform well, but he comes across really poorly in the video recordings of it. Like he is not being OJ; he's being an asshole. And it wasn't televised,
Mhm.
but there was recordings. So the public doesn't get to see
Okay.
that until much later, like documentary footage. Documentaries have footage from the civil trial that they put up, and yeah, he's being an asshole. He's like rolling his
Yeah.
eyes, and he's like, they ask him about the shoes, and he's like, I would never wear those ugly ass shoes. Like he's just being like petulant and not the OJ that any of us would recognize as OJ. He's ordered to pay the Goldman and Brown families $33.5 million, equivalent to about $71 million in 2024 money.
Or like a billion Canadian dollars.
But his net worth was only around $11 million. His agent at the time, a dude called Mike Gilbert, said they calculated what he owed by valuing his estate similarly to the estates of Marilyn Monroe and Elvis. Like, they claimed that he was like that caliber of celebrity. And Mike Gilbert was like, yeah, but like neither of those people have killed someone or like are perceived by the public to have killed someone. Like, OJ is not going to be able to
Yeah,
maintain his current level of income. Like, and he isn't. He isn't.
exactly.
Around this time, Mike Gilbert starts. Well, now he is.
Well,
Now
he's
he's
dead.
dead. But like at the time, like he was like not able to maintain his previous levels of
Yeah.
income, like because nobody wants him to be in Naked Gun movies anymore for some fucking reason. And around
Yeah.
this time, Mike Gilbert starts taking memorabilia from OJ's house and hawking it for cash, as well as trying to organize paid appearances for OJ in order to pay the bills. The settlement cannot be garnished from OJ's retirement, and they start to be really cagey about the cash for the appearances. So the Goldmans and the Brown family are basically getting none of the money that he's bringing in. In 1997, the IRS put a lien on Rockingham and he defaulted on his mortgage, and he had to move out of Rockingham, and it was eventually demolished. In OJ Made in America, Mike Gilbert describes how on the day OJ moved out of the house, he had Mike cross the street with a camera and film him taking down the American flag and driving away like it was paparazzi footage, because paparazzi photos and footage of OJ were still going for a lot of money. Yeah. And like
You
he
can sell
literally, the
it.
footage is in the documentary. He like
Yeah.
walks up with the camera and Mike's not saying anything. You can't hear his voice. And he like puts it in OJ's face and OJ's like, turn the camera off, man. Is this what you want to see? Is that, are you happy now? Like he's pretending like this is a paparazzi that he doesn't know. I know.
It's
He's
iconic.
camp. He's an actor. He's serving.
He's giving like Heidi Montag calling the paparazzi to let them know that she's gonna like be somewhere so that she can do something stupid, so that she can like pay off
That's
Spencer's
exactly it.
gambling debts or whatever.
In 2000, OJ moved to Miami, Florida, likely because Florida has a homestead exemption for debtors. So OJ's property and anything within it isn't at risk of being seized to pay his settlement. And regular wages used to support a family are also exempt. So he sues the Browns for full custody of Sydney and Justin, and they move with him to Florida.
Because he's innocent.
Have full
So there's no
custody of his
grounds
children.
for him
Yeah.
not to.
And
Fuck
almost
off.
immediately, OJ gets arrested and tried for battery for ripping the glasses off the face of someone during a dispute during a road rage incident, but he's acquitted. That same year, 2001, the FBI received a tip that he might also have some illegal drugs, so they searched his house and they found no illegal drugs, but they found a device he used to pirate DirecTV, and the satellite company later successfully took him to court for it. And I just gotta say, this is another case where I'm Team OJ. He was like stealing his neighbor's satellite television.
My morals and my ethics change when it's someone I hate, and I'm going to stand on the other side of the aisle from you and be like, they should have been able to launch him into space and use him as a satellite after that. Like,
I do think it's funny that he was pirating DirecTV.
it's like, okay, well, you won the Little Miss Satellite, so enjoy orbit, you stupid bitch.
He was also arrested and fined by the state of Florida for speeding through a manatee zone on his boat.
That's what
Just,
happened to my
like,
friend
doing
Steve
donuts.
Irwin.
They got him.
And they
Those
got him.
manatees went to their stingray friend and they were like, I got a hit for you. A hit you gotta take out.
Okay, that's so funny. Just like clubbing 100 manatees
Endangered
with
animals.
your boat as you drive through. Like
What
the,
was
like,
that?
boom,
Speed bump.
boom.
So horrible. As a Floridian, I do have to say we get very fucking serious about our manatees. Like people get mad over including me over manatee stuff because they're such sweet babies. I love them so much. And they
They are just like little
big fat
angels, right?
which makes them even cuter.
Yeah.
So I would have been really mad about this at the time, but it is very funny, like just describing it. Just speeding through manatee zones. All of this happens over a period of speeding through manatee zones when you're like, when you barely got away with a murder case. Like, my guy.
Well, now he's like
Yeah. It's like,
got away
nothing
with
can stop me.
murder.
Nothing can touch me.
Yeah. Not even
Like,
this manatee I'm running over right now.
so all of this happens over a period of like 3 years, and he still owes the money from the civil case and the Goldman and Brown murders plus interest and all of these fines. So his financial
Yeah.
situation not doing great, not the best he's ever been. And his star is beginning to wane as he gets like 5-10 years past his acquittal in the murder case. So the celebrity appearance requests start to dry up, and the money is drying up, and he's
Yeah.
kind of going through attention withdrawals. And it is in this financial and psychological state that he starts to come up with the idea of writing If I Did It. Arnell Simpson, OJ's eldest daughter from his marriage to Marguerite, eventually testifies that the idea for the book was hers and that she pitched it to OJ. But, like, I don't really care whose idea it was initially. I think, yeah, it really doesn't matter. Like,
What does it matter? Like,
yeah.
like literally, why does that
I think
matter at
OJ
all?
wanted 3 things. He wanted the money, he wanted the attention, and I genuinely do believe that he wanted a safe space to confess to the murders of Ron and Nicole.
Oh
I
God,
think he
no.
had a little bit of weight on his conscience, and he wanted to, now that he was safe because of double jeopardy laws, like, I think he wanted to confess.
I believe that. I don't know if I believe that
Hmm.
it had anything to do with guilt. Like, I think this is another manatee
I
situation
can.
where he's like, fuck it. Like,
And you can
I got away
too.
with murder.
What if it was
So
a self-help book? How to Get Away with Murder? Love it.
that's an amazing show, by the way. But like he very much did not fly under the radar. Like,
He wanted
if you think
attention.
about getting away with murder, you'd be like, oh my God,
I
I
would
would
change
never
my
even
name. I would,
jaywalk
yeah.
again. Like, yeah, I would get my
I would go
bag with
live
my
with
fake
J.K. Rowling in her
mustache.
fucking castle.
Like,
And I would be the quiet one that she could
yeah.
never be. The original plan for the book was to publish it in Reagan Books, which is an imprint of HarperCollins, and also to release an accompanying 2-part TV interview on Fox News, because both Fox and HarperCollins are acquisitions of Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. The book was eventually announced in November of 2006, but the National Enquirer basically scooped Reagan Books on their own damn announcement and reported that the book was happening in October. So, like, their report that the book was happening was in October. So, for a month, OJ
Yeah.
had to pretend to deny that there was any book before they announced the book for real. And people got mad. An online boycott formed almost immediately.
Hmm.
And, like, this is like 2000s. So, you know, you could take those seriously back then. Denise Brown and Fred Goldman,
Yeah.
Nicole's sister and Ron's dad, both immediately issued statements condemning the planned book and TV show. Fred Goldman, in particular, describing it as an all time low and morally reprehensible. And on November 20th, 2006, 10 days before If I Did It was set to be published, Reagan Books announced that they were canceling the book and the TV show. But then the Goldmans sued for the rights to the book and published it themselves, agreeing to pay the Brown family about $400,000 in proceeds. I think it was technically 4% on the first like million, or I don't know, 10% on the first 4 million or something like that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it amounted to like 400,000, assuming that they were going to sell like millions of dollars worth of copies. This was largely seen as kind of a tacky move on the Goldmans' parts. On the one hand, like, I kind of get it. Like, it's gross. It's like blood money. But, like, if it were the only way I was ever going to get anything from OJ Simpson, like, I would fucking do it.
I would take literally anything I could from him. I would take a flamingo off his lawn, both a real and a
Also, if
plastic
anything
one.
traumatic ever does happen to me, like, I 100% plan on selling my book and never working again. I will go again. I will go off into
Yeah.
a house somewhere and you will never hear from me again unless it's like if the traumatic thing is specifically like surviving like a school shooting. I guess I'm not in school anymore. A mass shooting or something. Maybe I would like occasionally make an appearance to speak about gun violence or something. Like if I could do some activism, I'd do it. But like other than that, I'd be like my fucking book
Yeah.
is getting published and I am disappearing. So the book was finally published on September 13th, 2007, which I can't believe it was that late because for some reason I always like in my mind that's
Yeah,
like right after I
2007.
graduated high school, and in my mind If I Did It existed for as long as I can remember, but it didn't. It was like right after I graduated high school that it got published. If I Did It is a bad book. It's like not it's not good. I don't recommend it. It's not interesting. And the chapter with the murder itself is small, insignificant, and reveals almost nothing about the case. It is a waste of your time. OJ's account of doing a double homicide is what I like to call the Velma Kelly defense. Like how she says in Cell Block Tango, I completely blacked out. I don't remember a thing. It's only later when I was washing the
Yeah.
blood off my hands, I even knew they were dead. That's exactly what it is. He like comes to and he's like, what's all this blood on my hands? What is interesting though is OJ describes bringing an accomplice with him, a friend named Charlie. To this day, no Charlie has ever been identified. Literally.
Me when I make up
Literally.
a Charlie. Making up a guy to get mad at and pin him murder on.
To this day, no Charlie has ever been identified, and apparently imaginary accomplices are pretty common in murder confessions, including those where murderers later go on to admit that they acted alone. Like, I think it's like a weird like psychological barrier thing. Like your mind is trying to protect itself from the knowledge of what you did, you know?
Well, it's also very nobody wants to shoulder blame alone in like no matter what the situation is. But like even like minor things, people are like, well, I mean, we both played a part in this
No.
argument. It's like, well, no, you said I was stupid and I said that wasn't chill. Like well, Charlie told me you were stupid and I was just repeating what he said.
Is this why kids I never had an imaginary friend. I think I've made up an imaginary friend that I didn't believe in for a while because I wanted to be one of those kids with an imaginary friend. I imagined an imaginary friend.
You gaslighted people
Yes.
into believing you had
but
an
is this why kids come up with an
imaginary
imaginary friend because they did something really bad? Yeah.
Charlie did it. I don't remember what happened. I just woke up and I had all these cookie crumbs on
It
my
wasn't
mouth.
until later when I was washing the cookie crumbs off my hands I even knew they were dead. If I Did It, the Cookie Monster story. Confessions of a Cookie Monster. No.
What's the tagline of the book?
Confessions of a Killer.
Wait, but that's not like
it's not an if.
confessions of
I believe
somebody who didn't.
I think the Goldmans probably added that tagline.
Oh.
They made the decision. They made the decision for the cover to shrink the if really tiny and put it inside the I so that it just looks like it says I did it from far away. Have you not seen this?
Okay, give me a second.
Oh, I'm dropping this cover.
I've not seen the
Google
cover.
Doc for sure. Isn't it amazing?
It's like great too. Okay, so for the people that are listening on Spotify,
it just says I did it. Like you can't even see the if. You cannot
where's
see
my
the if
camera?
on... No, our cameras aren't good enough. It looks like a smudge.
See, right...
It looks like a smudge.
Wait, there you go.
I did it.
Go, right in there.
That was the Goldman's choice. The Killer.
Confessions of the Killer. That's
Hilarious.
fucking amazing. So, for people listening at home, in big red letters, it says, "I did it." And then in the top, like third of the eye, taking up about,
So tiny.
I don't know, a fifth of it, in like almost transparent gray.
It's a watermark.
The words "if."
It's a
I can tell you. Yeah. And one that you would not even notice.
Yeah.
Unless you knew
I've
it was there.
I've definitely stolen pictures from Alamy with stronger watermarks than this. I can't believe you've never seen that before. I just took it for granted that you had.
I've listened to clips and I've read excerpts, but I've never actually seen the cover because they were all like digital. They were all on podcasts. I think all of the excerpts I've heard have been in true crime podcasts. So I never had any reason to like actually look at the fucking
Goldman's
book.
Graphic design geniuses.
They have a passion. They have a calling.
Truly. Yeah. Unironically.
I really want to, I would love to have a little like fly on the walls view of the moment someone was like, okay, I don't know if we can like actually do this. We're going to need to speak to legal.
but wouldn't it be really funny?
And everybody like cackling and being like, oh my God, yes, let's do it. No, okay, no, but we have to.
You know,
like
that they
wine
were, like,
sloshing.
You know that there were week-long debates about like they went over so many ifs, like so many size ifs were sent to the group chat. Like they're like, can I get away with this? Okay, no, you have to make it a little bit bigger.
Like us testing our thumbnails.
Yeah, literally. Another peek behind the curtain. Another nasty peek behind the curtain. You can see the mushrooms growing in my shower. In 2006, the same year OJ was working on If I Did It, he also filmed an hour-long pay-per-view prank show called Juiced. And because
like
his
Punk'd.
nickname was yes.
Mm-hmm.
And his nickname was the Juice.
Is it juice apostrophe D or like juiced?
No,
like,
juiced.
See you in hell, you stupid fruit, juiced.
Juiced.
Okay.
No apostrophe. But I am going to make you watch.
Yeah, I need to see it.
Not the whole thing, the whole like TV show, but I'm gonna make you play.
I would fucking hope not.
I'm gonna make
you. What great podcast!
I'm gonna make you watch the rap music video that he recorded for Juiced as promo for Juiced. I'm sending it now.
Oh my God! Okay.
It's wonderful. I'm gonna watch it at the same time as you. Tell me when you're going to hit play and I'll hit play at the same time and we can watch it together.
Okay. 1 on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'm OJ Simpson.
It has escapability.
Escapability!
It's so 2006. The outfits the women are wearing are so 2006. I should say the lingerie they're wearing.
I was about to say, outfit feels extreme.
Why do people ask me so many questions about how I made it?
His rapping is so bad. He's wearing
I'm not a Simpson named Bart.
He's dressed like a pimp with his zebra lapel.
He's dressed like a
jacket.
Party City pimp costume. Like,
there is a white Ford Bronco.
This is wildly not good. The way this man is less Riz than Trisha Paytas.
His bars are like, tell you all a story about a man named OJ.
No. It's giving, whose line is it anyway? Oh my God. Okay.
Have you taken all you can take? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Xing out.
I get the
You get the vibe.
horrible
It's
picture.
a 4-minute rap music video.
Jesus Christ. I don't know if it's
not
rap,
a talented
but
rapper. My father could rap better than he can. It's hideous.
this is wild.
So Juice.
Some auto-tune would have been so appreciated.
Oh, I would have. Yeah, it's really sad when someone is rapping and you still need auto tune. Like you were just speaking.
His cadence is horrible.
cadence-
You can tell
he
that he
sounds
like
like a-
didn't listen to rap.
No,
Like
he sounds like
this-
an old white dad.
It's either old white dad or it's giving school play.
Yes,
Like these are the two options. Like, I'll tell you about the vegetables that are good to eat. Like,
that's it.
shut
That's
the
what it
fuck
sounds
up.
like youth pastor motherfucker. But
no,
worse, but less, like even more Rizless.
at least
like-
they have God on their side.
I know.
And these
it's-
ugly ass fucking outfits that the girls are wearing too.
Yeah.
Now you got me calling like underwear
Outfits.
and no shirt
Yeah.
an outfit.
it is just lingerie, and some of them have got their very big boobies out. But
Are
it's
those
like
large?
very well, one of them was large. Some of them are small. The ones that are smaller and bras.
I have
The
no
big-
like world context for this.
Those really big ones were out and about. They were surgically enhanced, which is
I have this thing where sometimes
fine.
I just look right through women as if they're not there.
Mm.
I was like, is there men in this video that aren't OJ? Hello?
The gender criticals are gonna clip that. Like they're literally erasing women with their brain.
like a beautiful, like my like trans tinted goggles.
These are the goggles I wear to erase women. Like they live glasses, but it removes all of the adult human females. Juiced is the weirdest shit. It is, as you guessed, a knockoff.
Getjuiced.com if you want to check it out. I don't know if it's still
Getjuiced.com.
live, but
It is, as you guessed, a knockoff of Ashton Kutcher's Punked, right down to them saying, "You've been juiced," instead of "You got punked." And a lot of the pranks are just like, wouldn't it be weird if you were doing a normal thing and then OJ Simpson was there? Like the first prank is like he's working in a
that
drive-thru.
would be weird.
It would be weird.
Terrifying even. Oh, that clip that I sent you of the delivery driver turning the corner and he's like a black man and the woman screams and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not OJ." That's basically what I imagined the show was, but it was like, "Do worry, I am OJ."
I am OJ. There's one prank where it's literally just like they got a private eye to tell a guy that his wife has been cheating on him. And so this poor guy is like already like he
Fuck
looks
off.
so stressed out because he's like, God, my wife has been cheating on me. And then they show up at the hotel where the wife is, and OJ Simpson is the guy that she's cheating with. And then he's like getting really aggressive and he's like, "Get that camera out of my face." And so like I would shit my pants because I'd be like, OJ Simpson is going to kill me today.
Yeah.
And like that's the whole joke. That's the whole prank. And then finally he's eventually like, "You've been juiced." And then because the guy hasn't heard of that because that doesn't exist.
It's not
yet,
a thing.
He's like, "What?" And OJ has to be like, "It's a prank show." And then his wife comes out and is like, "Sorry, baby." It's
They
very
got like
uncomfortable.
$40 for this.
It's so
like,
uncomfortable.
Can I say, we're not going to get into this because like this is already like a 2-hour episode. I hate prank shows.
Me too.
I hate pranks. If someone pranked me, like these ones where like have you ever seen like Scare Tactics or whatever? Where they like
Oh,
make
I
you
know
think
of
that
it.
like somebody's been like fucking murdered in front of you or whatever. Like
It's
if one of
not
my
funny.
friends set me up for that, like 15 years down the line, they would be like driving home from work with their kids in their car and their brakes wouldn't work. Like, like long game shit right now. Anyone that ever pranks me, like
I liked Jackass. Jackass was fine because it was just guys hurting themselves. Their own friend group. That's fine.
I mean, I still didn't like it, but it's still less horrible.
Strangers is fucked up. I mostly liked it because Johnny Knoxville is hot.
Yeah.
So Juiced is way too long and sometimes incredibly boring because, again, like the pranks aren't really pranks. And because it's pay-per-view, it's also full of these like really uncomfortable, overly long interstitials of women dancing topless between the prank segments. And in one of them, Kaylin, I swear to God, the music that she's dancing to is like elevator music. Like they got like they got like license free music. So she's like grinding and it's like just like a soft elevator
Not
piano.
her with her, not Juice with his Envato subscription, just like pulling out the closest thing that he can find.
He couldn't even do
Oh my
Envato.
God.
He did YouTube music. He did YouTube's audio
Oh.
library.
And the music's added in post, and she was not listening to it while she was
She was not
dancing.
listening. She's definitely like grinding and it's like a weird, soft, gentle like piano.
I can't.
Soft piano jazz. OJ makes several little references to the murders in Juiced. Like at one point, he's like, I've been blamed for enough shit in my life. But then in one of the scenes, it's just him trying to sell the white Ford Bronco at a car dealership, and he's autographed it, and there's a bullet hole in the side. It's fucking wild. And that's where the line in the rap, it has escapability. That's what
Yeah.
he says to everyone who's trying to buy it. He's like, it's great. It has escapability.
Again, prison for this man.
Well, that's coming up, sweetie.
He's a felon in my mind, in my heart.
So let's fast forward again to September 13th, 2007, the exact same day If I Did It was published. That is the same day of the armed robbery in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So his book's out. He's like, fuck it, we ball. So OJ had traveled to Las Vegas for a wedding, and a sports memorabilia collector called Tom Riccio informed him that there was another memorabilia dealer named Alfred Beardsley who claimed to have a whole bunch of OJ Simpson's memorabilia.
All of these people sound like characters in a heist movie.
Yeah.
Like...
Tom Riccio. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, of course there's Tom Riccio in Las Vegas. And I know he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I just know it.
Of course he was. With nothing underneath, and the first like 3 buttons are undone, and he has gray chest hair.
He was.
Why am I kind of into Tom right now?
Wait,
like inventing a man to be attracted to? Of course he does.
Doesn't he have a mustache? God damn it.
Is it Peter Selleck? Is that who I'm picturing?
Yes.
That's asking you who I'm picturing. My imaginary friend that I just made up.
You're picturing Tom Selleck. And yes, my taste doesn't come from nowhere. So remember, OJ and his agent, Mike Gilbert, had been selling off a lot of his old stuff to pay for the bills. And I believe also some of the stuff Mike Gilbert pilfered and sold without OJ's consent. So like OJ's like, I'm going to get my shit back. It's mine. And OJ and Tom Riccio and like all these other guys devised this terrible plan that I really do believe was just to go intimidate the guy into giving them the stuff. Like a lot of it was just like junk, like framed pictures and shit, like nothing that's actually valuable. And OJ and Riccio arranged to meet Beardsley in room 1203 at the Palace Station Hotel and Casino, and they bring with them like 6 other guys. And one of them, a guy called Walter Alexander, has a gun, which gets held out during the encounter. So it's technically an armed robbery, but this was like not a real armed robbery. You know, it's not like they go in with the guns and they're like, hand over the shit. It's like a bunch of guys.
It was a robbery and they were armed. But
yeah.
like...
It's not like, it's embarrassing is what it is. It's... So they all leave with OJ's trash after threatening Beardsley with a gun, and OJ is arrested 3 days later. Every single accomplice except one, a guy named CJ Stewart, immediately roll on OJ in order to get a plea deal.
Based.
Yeah. CJ Stewart initially gets sentenced to 15 years in prison, but then his conviction is overturned because it's considered a tainted conviction due to OJ's fame, and he's released. Everyone else gets probation. So, like, OJ is the only person who doesn't need prison time for this. OJ's guilty verdict came in on October 3rd, 2008, 13 years to the day after his not guilty verdict in the murder trial. I think it's so crazy that, like, he does this armed robbery on the same day his book is released, and then he gets his guilty verdict on the 13th anniversary of his not guilty verdict.
Yeah.
Should we take one more ad break?
Okay, let's go to ads.
Let's go to ads, and I'm gonna get some water.
What were we talking about before this ad?
OJ going to jail, getting a guilty verdict.
Jail. Tell us if you get an ad for like an American for-profit prison or something.
A correctional facility. Ooh, let's get some correctional facility ads.
They have a good budget.
They really do. OJ is sentenced to 33 years in prison, which is a crazy sentence for the crime he committed. And exactly how everyone said that the not guilty verdict in the murder trial was payback for Rodney King, lots of people thought and still think that his disproportionate sentence in the robbery was payback for getting away with murder.
I agree.
He is eligible for parole after 9 years. However, and he ends up being released from prison on October 1st, 2017. So I think that's just a little bit under 9 years. Originally, OJ had announced his intentions of moving back to Florida, but when he got out of jail, Florida was basically like, we don't want you back. And a bunch of Florida politicians were like, don't come back, which I just got to say, that's definitely just racism, because as someone from Florida, Florida loves convicted felons.
I was about to say
we're like that's kind of that and Disney World are like our two things.
I was gonna say Florida feels really felonious.
Yeah,
to me.
Love it. Like... we love it. We just love a little filone.
Oh my god, that's so pretty, Filone. This is my baby Filone.
It sounds like Flonase. Filone and Filonase.
Okay, well, you're allowed to name your babies whatever they want. If they don't want that name, they can decide to be trans, like every other person.
Yeah, like every other person who was trans.
Yeah. I decided to be gay, and then I decided to be trans because I thought that it was like cuter on me, you know. You can do whatever you want. Happy Pride.
Yeah. It's your life. We've already told you we don't care what you do.
Happy Pride. It's your life, Filone.
So
I want a It's Your Life Filone shirt.
It's your life, Filone. But it's spelled felony.
Yeah, of course.
It's your life, period. Felony. Felony.
Gorgeous. Maybe just like It's Your Life Felon. That's super cute. Oh, just a felony shirt. Felony. Would be so cute.
Yeah. We should have a felony and a larceny.
Ooh, yes.
Really cute. Mm-hmm.
Filone and larceny. Absolutely fucking adorable.
Beautiful names for twin girls. They're gonna hate us for all these tangents. Listen to another podcast. Stop commenting about it. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going on tangents. We're not just reading Wikipedia for you. I'm sorry. We're being personalities.
I mean, if you don't want tangents,
don't listen to our podcast.
You can go read the Wikipedia yourself.
Yeah.
You lazy bitch.
And if you don't want to read it yourself, there's software you can drop it into and it'll read it for you. So OJ stays in Las Vegas, the only place trashier than Dade County. And for a while...
Not Dade County. Isn't that where the other orange juice lady was?
That's right. Yeah. That's where he was living before. Like we said,
No.
we love trash. Yeah. Miami-Dade.
He was living in fucking Anita Bryant's neighborhood?
Yeah. Miami-Dade.
Amazing.
We love trash in Florida. And for a while, OJ just slips into obscurity. It's almost like he plans on living out his remaining years in peace. But then, on June 14th, 2019, OJ Simpson creates a Twitter account. And I'm going to send you
Yes!
a tweet. I'm going to send you a tweet.
Am I
Okay,
reading it?
You're watching it. It's a video. Wait,
I
did
don't
I
think
send the
this
wrong
is it.
Is that the wrong one?
I think it just played me a different video. I'm like, I don't think
What
this
the
Happy
fuck?
Pride video is OJ.
It's definitely not.
It keeps bringing me to a different tweet. Hold on,
What
I'll
the
just do it on the
fuck?
computer.
Do it on the
It
computer.
was very weird. Happy Pride! I'm like, okay, well,
That's not bad.
this could be worse. Okay, hold on.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly. Now, coming soon to Twitter, you'll get to read all my thoughts and opinions on just about everything. Now, there's a lot of fake OJ accounts out there, so this one, at the real OJ32, is the only official one.
At the real
this should be a lot of fun.
OJ32?
I got a little getting even to do. So God bless. Take care.
So,
Hey, Twitter world.
Yes. OJ starts,
Hey, Twitter world. This is yours truly.
OJ starts posting these regular videos to Twitter, and they all start with, "Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly," which is so fucking sinister. Every single one of them.
Sorry, I just had to stop to tweet that.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly. It's so sinister. It's like those.
It's so threatening.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly.
I don't want him to be mine, truly or
You remember?
otherwise.
You remember me? And he's just like posting his thoughts and posting about his day in most of these videos. And then there's also this one where he denies that he's Khloe Kardashian's real father. And
Was he accused of that?
there's a big rumor that he's Khloe Kardashian's
Okay.
real father, and that he had an affair with Chris.
Isn't she white and just very tan?
I would say she does share some of his features. They have similar noses. Her pre-surgery face.
Oh, okay. I was
doesn't come
like,
from
that's
nowhere.
not her nose. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Her pre-surgery
gotcha, okay.
face. You're like, the evidence is compelling. And then there's this one that I'm going to send you, where he tells us his opinions on trans women in women's sports. And just a quick content warning going into it, that he dead names and misgenders Caitlyn Jenner like 40 times.
Of course.
So just a heads up for that.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, I don't know how it happened, but yesterday, for some reason, the conversation amongst all my golf buddies
For some
got
reason,
about this thing about transgender males, especially in high school.
the inside of his mask has
competing against the
oranges.
girls. And what did I think about it? Well, I told him I didn't have much.
He has an
of an
orange
attitude
pattern
about
on
it,
the
but
inside of his
one
mask.
guy reminded me
That's
how
sick.
upset I was when
That's
some
sick.
friends from my old country club in California told me that the former Bruce Jenner was playing from the ladies' tees. And I had to admit, I was upset when I heard that. I saw the former Bruce compete in the Montreal Olympics. I actually worked the games and called part of one of his races, and what an athlete. The man was an
It's like
exceptional
typical old
athlete. And
transphobic
he won the
guy
gold medal
stuff.
over the
Okay, I got
top-
55 seconds in.
One of the top replies to that video is, "Careful, OJ, you might get canceled."
OJ, I live for your takes. Killing it out there, OJ.
Killing-
The juice
killing
was
it
some
out there.
killer commentary.
No, killing it out. Killer commentary.
How's your ex-wife? Sorry, Juice, but I don't think you killed it here. Okay, but why? Okay, so the tagline is, or the tagline, what am I talking about? The text of the tweet above the video is, in
Right.
competition, X is X and Y is Y. And someone was like, why did you kill your ex?
That's good. That is good.
Cooked this man. Fuck. Well, if there's one thing we can say for sure, is that wife abuser and murderer OJ agreed with J.K. Rowling. And that's all you really need to know.
Mhm. Imagine if she was like slipping into his I don't think she knew that that was his real account because it's like OJ, the real OJ
It
32.
says the real OJ on it.
It looks so scammy and fake.
I know.
But I imagine if she had known it was there, she would have been replying to him with things like simple as.
Yeah.
In May of 2023, OJ revealed that he had been diagnosed with cancer and was undergoing chemotherapy. And in February of this year, it was reported that it was prostate cancer. In his last Twitter video on February 11th, he said, I think I'm just about over it and I'll be back on the golf course hopefully in a couple of weeks.
I think I'm just about over it, and I'll be back on that golf course hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Good luck, King.
He was not just about over it.
Mm.
OJ Simpson died on April 10th, 2024. Reportedly, after his death, there had been requests for OJ's brain to be studied for signs of CTE.
This is coming out exactly 2 months after he died.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
Another cute little coincidence.
There's so many cute little coincidences in this. So yeah, reportedly after his death, there had been requests for OJ's brain to be studied for CTE. There's some fairly compelling theories that chronic traumatic encephalopathy from his years of playing football could have contributed to his violent rages because violence and aggression are pretty common symptoms of brain damage.
Yeah.
But his estate,
like rabies.
Yeah, yeah, and foaming at the mouth and being afraid of water.
It just cooks your brain up real good until you get mad all the time.
So that could very much be the case. Like it could be that he had like significant brain damage and that caused him to fly into these violent rages that ultimately resulted in the deaths of 2 people. But his estate refused any requests to study his brain and he was cremated on April 17th.
Ugh, I wanted to know about his brain.
I know. If I was his estate, I would have been like, yes, this is our final like way of like not really exonerating him, but like kind of being like, but see,
he's not using it.
Yeah.
Just pop that bad boy out. I'll get a giant melon baller and let's get to work.
But they burned him up, so we can't. His cremains were given to his family, and there was no.
Oh my god, are they called cremains? That's amazing.
Yeah, did you not know that?
No, okay. For a second, I thought you were just being super cute.
No,
I love that.
Called. Yeah, when you get.
Oh my god, I want to be
ashes.
cremains.
Yeah, when you get the ashes, they are called cremains. That's the official term for them.
That's so cute. It's like craisins.
I'm a little crazy. It's actually preventing me from being a craisin. I'm drying up into a little fucking craisin. So they did not have a public memorial service for pissing on graves reasons.
For grave toilet reasons, I'm sure you can understand.
Following the announcement of his death, a woman named Nicole Minet posted this story on X.com. There is no way to actually verify this, so take it with a huge, huge grain of salt, but I thought it might be worth including. I've been waiting 29 years to tell this story about OJ and his days at USC. Now that he's dead, may he burn in hell, I have a story that I signed an NDA that is no longer valid. I was a junior at USC working in Topping Student Center on campus in 1995. I was an administrative assistant to the president of student affairs that semester in the work-study program. In early 1995, Robert Shapiro and Robert Kardashian, USC alumni, walked up to my desk and said they had an appointment with my boss. I was studying to be a criminal defense lawyer with a dual major in poli-sci and international relations, so I knew who they were. The meeting lasted about 30 minutes. After they left, I looked at my boss like, what the fuck was that all about? He walked me outside, and we sat by the old, sprawling big tree outside Topping, and my boss lit a cigarette for the first time in years and told me that I had to sign an NDA because I could confirm OJ's lawyers were there for a meeting. Then he told me what the meeting was about. Before OJ could graduate from USC, the university paid off two families of two blonde white girls that he had dated and battered. They had both gone to the LAPD to report it. One claimed he had also sexually assaulted her in their relationship. The school had a vested interest in OJ going far in football and protected him at all costs. OJ had been in custody for 6 months, and lawyers were in the discovery process for the trial. And OJ's friend, Robert Kardashian, who knew OJ from also being a student at USC, thought it would be best if those stories never saw the light of day. So a large check was written and given to my boss, and they left. I'll never forget holding that check. Now, did you hear about this before now? Nope. That's how much power money enables. After he was acquitted, I changed my major to philosophy, psychology double major. I understood that I could harm society more than not if I pursued law. This is why I abhor the Kardashians. They're rich thugs, nothing more. Hashtag OJ is dead.
I mean, I choose to believe.
It
Like
sounds
always on this
plausible.
podcast, whenever you're like, this could be apocryphal, and I'm like, but it could also not be. And if it's already aligned with my preconceived notions about something, then how can it not be true?
I would be like more skeptical if she was like, I was beaten by OJ back when I went to USC.
Yeah.
But or I guess she wouldn't have been alive when he was going to USC. But like if it was like I had a personal interaction with OJ, but what makes it sound plausible is it was just like I was just like very
Yeah.
tangentially a witness
Yeah.
to something else that was going on at the time
Yeah.
of the trial or just before the trial started. And I don't know, it sounds plausible.
Yeah.
So at the start of this story, I joked that the story of OJ Simpson was like Othello for guys who wear Oakley wraparound sunglasses in their profile pics. But I think what makes this story so irresistible is how much of it feels like such a deliberate condemnation of some of the most sickening and shameful parts of a modern American culture. The enduring legacies of racism and misogyny, a culture in which celebrities are both idols to be worshipped and commodities to be consumed and discarded, the shallowness of our legal system, and the immorality of our media industry. In many ways, OJ's life was Shakespearean. As the tragicomic hero of his own story, he was condemned to be both victim and villain. But ultimately, he was rewarded with a complete narrative. His victims, their lives cut so abruptly short, will always be portrayed as supporting characters in his drama, his downfall. I don't say this to criticize or condemn retellings of the life of OJ Simpson. That's like literally what we've been sitting here doing
Yeah.
for 2 straight days, several hours. That is what we set out to do as well. But it's so poignant to me that all of these true crime narratives are written with so many unfinished sentences. Ron Goldman was a good egg. He had been a camp counselor and a volunteer working with children with cerebral palsy, and he had just earned his EMT license before he died. But what he really wanted to do, more than anything, was open a bar. He had this dream of a restaurant or bar that didn't have a name. Rather, it would just be known by the hieroglyph of the Ankh, which sounds very 90s to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like a character
100%.
from Friends. The Ankh, of course, was the Egyptian symbol for life. Nicole Brown Simpson was in the market for a new house just before she died. She settled on a place in Malibu. Finally, after all those years, she was going to move out of Brentwood and out from under the thumb of her ex-husband. She could wake up each morning, take in the salt air, go to the beach with her kids, and play with Cato the dog in the surf. Had they lived, maybe Ron would have never had his bar called Ankh. Maybe Nicole would have never had her home on the beach. But their stories maybe would have stretched toward something that resembled a satisfying conclusion. And at the very least, their stories would have been their own. So that was the conclusion of OJ Simpson.
Yeah.
You can follow Kaylin at Kaylin Conrad on all platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at Punished Hoots, and you can follow us on all platforms at _Respect the Dead. You can also subscribe to our Patreon for an exclusive bonus episode about the OJ Simpson case and the Ryan Murphy show.
Okay. Love you.
See you in the next one.